OK, we need to talk about the ABC, our national tax-funded broadcaster. You see, the Australian newspaper today reported that Auntie is expanding its arts coverage and will move its schedule next year to compete against streaming services which are taking a lot of eyeballs away from their programs. It's worried that it's losing ratings. But wait a minute, isn't the ABC there to fill the gaps left by the private sector, by commercial broadcasters? Not to push the private sector out, not to compete, surely. Why are they chasing ratings at all? And arts coverage, I mean, should you at home who choose to pay for Sky News have to also pay for someone in, say, inner city Melbourne who chooses to ask for more arts programs? We need to call the ABC what it is, a giant media conglomerate that leans very much to the left, and that's making our media landscape less diverse. Or someone who knows a lot about this is Michael Kroger, former Victorian Liberal Party president, who sat on the ABC's board for 5 years. And he's written an excellent piece today about his experiences on the inside, an eye-opening account of a very different culture. He joined me earlier to discuss what he found. Michael Kroger, a fascinating insight into your brush with ABC types from top to bottom. But in particular, I think the conclusion to what you've written today is that the left-wing bias that we detect in the ABC may be as a result of the kind of people they actually employ.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and they intend to employ their own and friends of their own. You can't have a culture of this left-wing bias going for decades without there being some internal strategy, and that strategy basically is to continually employ people of a like mind. And that's what they've been doing, Chris, for generations, and that's why the ABC, particularly in Sydney, it's not so much ABC rural radio or rural coverage. The problem comes out of the culture of the ABC in the Sydney and the ABC culture in Melbourne, and it's to the left of the Labor Party, and it's very destructive.
And how hard was it for you to find someone who might listen to some of the conservative commentary on other sections of the media?
Well, you know, the ABC doesn't want to have a balance. It doesn't, as others have pointed out, have producers and presenters who have a conservative point of view. Its whole worldview is of the Armageddon. Its whole view of Australia is that we've got a place contributing to this Armageddon. I mean, this is one of the great democracies of the world. We should be celebrating and acknowledging the great country we have. We should be talking about Australian stories of the great successes of this nation. What the ABC does is they'll always be able to point to a story they did on farmers or the mining industry or something. But the whole grand narrative they have, mate, is how we're a heartless, ruthless nation that wouldn't open our borders. We're bedeviled by ignorance on climate change, which is, going to destroy the world. We're culturally backward. The Catholic Church is horrible. Religion's very, is dangerous.
We're racist.
Or something of the past. We're all racist. We're all sexist. We're homophobes. We're Islamophobes. We're destroying the land on which we live. We're disrespectful to our, to our Aboriginal heritage. There's nothing celebratory, about this country in the narrative, the grand narrative of the ABC. The grand narrative should be to celebrate this great democracy. When does it ever talk about the contribution of the mining industry, the ongoing contribution of the mining industry to the success of this country, the billions and billions that flow into the federal coffers every year because of the mining industry? When do they ever go to mines and meet and talk to people there? Or farms. Now, of course, they've got programs on farming, but the grand narrative should be based on the economic and cultural success of this nation, and that's exactly what the ABC does not do, mate.
Yeah, they've got a topical bent, it's quite clear. But yet we've got Ida Buttrose, the chair this week, pointing out that they get, bashed up by the left over some of the right-wing commentators they have on the ABC. Really?
Oh, well, that is just preposterous. And if you read Gerard Henderson's Media Watchdog blog tomorrow, without giving the game away, Gerard has written to the ABC asking for a list of the people that Ita Buttrose is talking about in that great Margaret Thatcher style. He's written saying, could the chair please give a list, or the ABC give a list of the people who on the left think the ABC is a patsy for conservatism? And you'll read the answer from the ABC in Henderson's column tomorrow. What a laughable, preposterous speech by Buttrose. Obviously, it appears written by someone inside the ABC. But really, what a foolish and ignorant comment to make by her. And I'm afraid, you know, amongst the many successes of the Morrison government and the Abbott government and the Turnbull government, the appointment of Ita Buttrose to the chair of the ABC was not one of them.
You also talk about the editor-in-chief being unable to correct or overrule a subordinate, someone 4 levels down the chain. I wonder whether part of the reason they have the culture they have is not just who they select, no one from the suburbs, obviously people in the inner city, but also the fact that they're built on militant unionism, where staff stick tight and the management are kept away.
Well, the staff do stick very closely together, and in a workplace that's a good thing. But in this case, it's deleterious to the objectivity of the ABC because it breeds an internal culture of resistance to criticism. And, you know, the culture of the ABC is to defend everything they do, never to admit mistakes, of which there are many, and, you know, not open the organisation up to other voices. I mean, the great tragedy of the ABC is this nonsense where they talk about diversity. The one thing we all know where there's no diversity is diversity of opinion. Yeah. And that is to the great discredit of the national broadcaster. It is a lingering sore. It's an embarrassment to the corporation. I mean, why are there so... you ask yourself this question. Why does the ABC have so many critics? Why does it have so many critics? What are all those people, me and the thousands and tens of thousands of others, who are concerned about the political direction of the ABC? Why are we concerned? Have we got nothing better to do than to criticise the ABC? If there was a diversity of viewpoints, if there were people presenting other points of view, conservative point of view, centre-right views, there wouldn't be this national outcry that you see about the ABC, most recently evidenced by that appalling Four Corners program when they had a go at 2 Liberal members of Parliament, but none on the other side. Yeah,
hardly independent. You suggest at the end of your article there are ways in which the federal government can put down rules that not only just state independence, you know, being paramount, but also specify what that means.
Well, I think it's time to stop complaining about the ABC and doing something about it. And if you had as part of their act that they are responsible for, you know, talking about certain issues, because the ABC Act says it's got to focus on certain things, and one of those is the arts, for example. So if the ABC Act specified areas that it has to comment on and do programs about and report on, then it's forced to do that. And as far as the board's concerned, the board are basically unable to do anything. As I said, I was on it for 5 years. The managing director just bats away any criticisms that you have. And what it needs is the board to have some kind of corporate responsibility. Well, its responsibility should be for ensuring that there is a diversity of presenters' views and their producers' views, so that we get centre-right views on the ABC as well as views of the hard left. That should be a board. That should be a board responsibility.
Yep, absolutely. Michael Kroger, thank you very much. Well written today.
Pleasure. Thanks, mate. Cheers, mate.